everybody? Welcome to the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. We talk about nothing but the birds in the midnight green. I am your host, Asif Badi. Welcome to the show. If you are a fan of the show and you've seen this show in the past, you know I talk about the birds and nothing but the birds. This is what I do. I love talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's the off-season period now. It's free agency, and if you've seen an episode of the past, I commented on day one free agency from Howie Roseman when we signed Saquon Barkley, a very big splash move. And in that moment, I was very annoyed. And I felt that, rightfully so. Considering what was going on day one free agency period, the fact that we had a lot of holes on the defensive side of the ball and we didn't address any of them outside of getting Bryce Huff, I was a little annoyed with the Saquon Barkley signing. But now a lot of fans in the comments on Instagram and TikTok were saying, hey, man, you got to chill. Take a chill pill, bro. It's just day one. And how are you going to be annoyed with Saquon Barkley being on the team? And let me clarify something. I'm not annoyed with Saquon Barkley being on the team. I'm more annoyed with the amount of money that we paid the brother. $13 million is a lot of money for a running back who's entering, age 27? Seems like a lot of money for a guy that age. And when you look at what happened in the state of Pennsylvania, just a few hours, earlier on free agency day 2 at around what was it, like 2, 3 o'clock? I look on my Instagram post and I see a bunch of notifications regarding Patrick Queen coming to the state of Pennsylvania. And I'm like, holy crap, he's in PA. But with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it's not necessarily surprising that they went after a linebacker. I understand that. What was surprising was the contract. 3 years, $41 million, $51 million. I forget what the exact number is. Regardless, it's virtually the same money that we paid Saquon Barkley for. And Patrick Queen is a necessity in terms of need for Philadelphia at linebacker. So you can forgive me why I was annoyed for a majority of free agency day 1 into a majority of free agency day 2. Because not only did Patrick Queen come off the board, Willie Gay came off the board for only $5 million. So I'm sitting here ticked off. And then when I look at the Eagles signing, I see Matt Hennessey, which is not a bad signing. I'm not upset about it. I see Devante Parker, and I'm like, damn, we paid him $4 million? And then I look deeper, and we only have to pay him 1.2 as the Patriots take on 3 point whatever million dollars it is. And I know Devante Parker is not the most sexy signing, but a decent wide receiver, number 3. They like his body type. They really like Devante Parker. They've been trying to get him for years, and I know he hasn't been able to get separation on any route that he's run over the past 4 to 5 years. And people contribute that to the fact that he was with the Patriots. Let me tell you something, guys. Just because you're on a bad offense, that don't mean you can't run a route and get separation. I mean, come on. You're a professional NFL player. Get some goddamn separation. You're Devante Parker, okay? Like, you're good. You were good for some time. You're telling me you can't get any yards of separation on people? I don't care what offense you run. You can either run a route or you can't. And I know Devante Parker on the surface, we're like, oh, can't get any separation, and we're going to have him in wide receiver 3. This just tells me that A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are going to be moved to the slot a lot. That's basically what that tells me. So again, I'm not upset with the signing. $1.2 million on a flyer, I'll take it. The signing that really took me by surprise, though, I didn't think we were going to go back to him, but we brought back CJ Gardner-Johnson. CJ Deuce. He's back home in Philadelphia. And I didn't think he would come back here considering the way it ended with, how the contract negotiations ended last offseason, how, when he was, what was he playing a video game and he was talking shit about fans of Philadelphia and all that stuff. Seems like water under the bridge now. Got a 3-year, $33 million deal, $11 million per, right? And I believe the cap hit from what it looks like, because Howie Roseman just he's able to just sign a lot of these big contract players here. He signed him for, I don't know what the cap hit is, but regardless, I don't think the cap hit from the structure of it, it doesn't look like it seems it's going to be much of a factor in terms of, the cap this year. It's not much of a cap hit, which means he probably borrowed money from future cap years down the road as the cap continues to rise up for years and years and years. Whatever the case may be, however Howie Roseman did it, he did it. He brought in a safety. He brought in a versatile player. He brought in a guy who brings in swagger, intensity, and a little bit of that dog that we need on the back end. And as much as I was annoyed with him, with how we were getting Saquon Barkley and how much money we paid for him, and I felt that we could have addressed a lot of needs on the back end for a much cheaper price than we did, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is a really nice consolation prize for day 2. Really, really is. He could play nickel. He could play safety. He could play outside corner. He's a versatile player. You could blitz him. He could ball hawk. The guy can really do it all on the defensive side of the ball. And like I said, he brings much more swagger, intensity, and that dog that we need on the back end. So I got to tip my cap, my figurative cap. I would have it. You know what? Let me pull up my cap here. Let me tip my cap to Howie Roseman in regards to signing Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Do I owe him an apology? I don't know. Maybe I do owe him an apology for not having as much faith in him as maybe I should. So I'll say it. I'll apologize to Howie Roseman for those of you who view the page. It's not like Howie Roseman is going to sit here and watch the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. If he does, hi, Howie. We really, really appreciate everything you've done here in Philadelphia, and I believe you are one of the best GMs in football. I just didn't agree with what you did on day 1, and maybe come onto the show at one point. But again, hey, you're a busy man. I get it. There's my pitch to Howie Roseman. Is he going to come on? Hell no. He'll never see me in the light of day. He won't know me from a fight. He won't know me from a bag of tea in China. Won't recognize me from a can of paint. I don't really care about that. The point being is Howie Roseman got the job done by bringing in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, bringing in a safety that's quality on the back end in Philadelphia, who's youthful, who's young, like I said, brings all those intangibles that we need on the back end. And now going forward, what does this mean for Philadelphia? He has a trade in the works with Josh Sweat, maybe Hassan Reddick, for maybe even another player, or future draft capital for the upcoming draft. Now, I don't know about you, but it seems to me like he's not going to invest in the free agency period at linebacker. It seems like he's going to fill out the back end with some players, with some defensive backs, and address the defensive line, and then go youth in the draft at linebacker and outside linebacker. Is that the greatest plan? I don't know. I don't think Howie Roseman has the best track record per se of drafting linebacker correctly. Hell, I don't even think he has a great track record of drafting defensive back and linebackers at all. I mean, after all, he did draft Marcus Smith. He did draft, like Davion Taylor, right? So, I mean, he's had some drafts where it's not been so great in terms of getting guys right at those positions. And I know he drafted Jalen Carter. I know he drafted Devontae Smith, Landon Dickerson, Nolan Smith. Hell, even JD, he drafted him, but there's some question marks about Jordan Davis, right? Again, we shall see what he does in the draft. I don't know if investing at linebacker in the draft by Howie Roseman is the right move. I really would have preferred a veteran back there to be able to kind of communicate the calls to the defense. But as Howie Roseman likes to say, yeah, well, we believe in Zach Cunningham, and we believe in Nakobe Dean, and we love the character that he is, and we love the player that he is, and we love, we got to bring in good people in the locker room. That's really what the key is. We have to bring in good people, and we have to trust their character, and we have to trust their ability to play. And, Nakobe Dean and Zach Cunningham had one of his better years last year. All that stuff that he said in the press conferences in the earlier past off season here, right? So I know Howie Roseman has faith in the linebacking room. And you could see the faith that he has in the linebacker room by signing Zach Bond, whoever the hell that guy is. No disrespect to Zach Bond. You're an NFL player, and I'm sure you are a quality player. But forgive me, I don't know who the hell you are. And I don't think anybody knows who the hell you are. So you got to forgive everybody for that. But regardless, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, after a questionable day 1, in my opinion, is a really, really nice way to round off the offseason thus far. So overall, He's gotten Saquon Barkley, while, in my opinion, a bit overpaid. He got Saquon Barkley. He signed Zach Bond, a linebacker. He signed Matt Hennessey, Devante Parker, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and then he's also re-signed Landon Dickerson. Plus, I'm sure later on today or tomorrow, he's going to have a trade done that features Josh Sweat and or Hassan Reddick for either a player or draft capital. So, depending on what he does, what he gets back, Howie Roseman might get a lot of good capital here. Oh, no, how could I forget? Signing Bryce Huff is the other move that he made on day one. So, thus far, it looks okay. I am not as annoyed as I was on day one, because I was a little ticked off on day one, if you've seen the show. And I'll take it on the chin if this means Howie Roseman builds a team that will get us back to the big game. But as of right now, I still think we have a lot of holes on the defensive side of the ball, particularly at linebacker and really at cornerback, in my opinion. But again, with Isaiah Rodgers coming back, with the addition of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, with Keely Ringo, Eli Ricks, Darius Slay, I'm not even going to mention James Bradbury, who I would love to trade for a freaking sack of cherries. But you know what? Beggars can't be choosers over here, right? He's going to probably be an Eagle because they have to justify the contract that they gave him, which is madness in my opinion. But that's neither here nor there. The point being is, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is back home where he belongs. He never should have left. And Howie Roseman righted the wrong by bringing him back home. And it's good to see CJGJ back in the midnight green. Let's see what Howie Roseman does now. And I'm going to say it with everybody now. I apologize to Howie. I doubted you for a moment. But you know what? Here on forward, in Howie we trust. Hey, you got through a full episode of the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. Thank you for watching. If you want to support the channel, hit the like and subscribe button below. You can also check us out on Instagram at the Riding the Bench podcast with a K instead of C in the word podcast. And also check us out on audio platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're on there. All of that is in the description below. Please come back next time for the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. Thanks for listening.